Hey guys, it's Becca. Welcome back to my channel. So today I have a kind of compilation of story times that I think a lot of people will find pretty funny just because they're so bizarre. I don't really know how to preface it other than saying that I have a job that I absolutely love. I have two jobs. One of them is at a hospital and the other one is at a bowling alley. And I've worked at the bowling alley for about 3 years. And a lot of weird things happen there. So obviously in the town that I live in, there's not a whole bunch to do. So bowling is one of the things that a lot of people like to come and do. So at the bowling alley, we obviously got like a lot of interesting characters, a wide array of, people. And some of them I've had some pretty interesting experiences with. The first story that I have is just kind of creepy. It just kind of makes me mad every time I think about it. And it's not very uncommon. Like every single girl that worked there would get hit on by some old dude, and that's just how it was. So this first incident happened when I was probably 16 or 17 working there. I was still kind of new. But on every Wednesday night for a period of time, there's a league for just whoever wants to bowl in a league with their team and everything. And there's this one guy, and he would always come up to me and my friend who worked with me and just like say some really weird stuff, like talk about his money and talk about his like what he's done with his life. And he would always like laugh really, really weird in our faces and stuff. But we just thought he was just an awkward guy, But he wasn't, he was just a creep. So one day, see, I worked in the kitchen. So I didn't like come out very often to talk to people unless I was bringing food to somebody or just talking to my friends up at the counter. But one day I did go up to the counter and this man, he's this old man. Like, I don't want to be rude or anything, but like not a lot of hygiene, just gross old man. He comes up to me and he's like, "I really like your socks." And I was like, "What the? You can't see my socks." But I just looked at him and I was like, "Hey, thanks." And he said, and I quote, "Yeah, they're having a party and they think your panties should come on down." Excuse me? What? I've never heard anything like that, but every single person at the counter just looked at me and then they looked at him and they were like, "What the fuck? What?" And it's just this old man. And I'm just like, I looked at him and I was like, because I'm like, I wasn't about to say anything. I just like wanted to walk away. But that's not where the story ends. This guy that also bowls in a league, he's like super nice guy. He has a son that graduated with me. He has other kids. He's just like a dad, He heard him say that and he gets in a fight with this old man. He tries to punch him. They're all drunk, He's trying to hit him. He's like, "How dare you say that to a young lady?" and all that. And like they're like moving the chairs and shoving him out of the way, like actually getting into it. And they had to be broken up by one of my coworkers. And so, yeah, I caused a fight at the bowling alley, kind of. Can that be a clickbait story time title? No, I'm not doing that. But yeah, that's the first story. And it was just like, ew, like that's gross. I don't want to hear about that ever again. But the Wednesday night leagues at this bowling alley were nothing compared to the Thursday night leagues in terms of how many perverts can be in one building. On Thursday nights, the most disgusting men, like middle-aged men, would come in with their cards, their playing cards with naked girls on them, and they would all just come in together and buy food and beer and all this shit with their wife's credit cards. You can see the names on the credit cards and know that's not yours. You're over here sitting getting wasted every Thursday night with your nasty friends and playing with cards with naked girls on them using your wife's credit card. Or like the finest people in the town, I swear to God. Anyway, there was this one customer that I just hated. and I would see him every single week. And like, I know his name, but I'm not gonna expose him or whatever, but I'll give him a fake name. We'll call him Mike. So, Mike, every single week would come in the kitchen and be like, make me a cheeseburger. And I'd be like, you order over there? And he's like, yeah, but you know how I like it. He liked it like drowned in ketchup and like, that's it. And I was like, okay, you could just order that. But he was like, yeah, you know how I like it. And then he would like give me money to go take it out to him and his friends, because usually you would just say like, order for Mike, ready at the snack bar, order for Mike on the microphone. But he paid me, like he tipped me to go bring it out to him, and I didn't think anything of it. I just thought he was lazy, you know. Well, it didn't take a few weeks to, you know, be doing that for one of my coworkers to be like, Rebecca, you know why he's asking you to walk it out? It's because him and all his perv friends want to stare at your ass. And I was like, great. So the next few weeks that he did that, I would pay my friend, he's a guy, I would pay my friend the tip that Mike gave me to go walk it out for him. And I was like, I'm not doing that anymore. I'll pay him to go walk it out to you if you're just lazy. And if it's just me that you want to walk out there and like gawk at me, then I'm not doing that. That's that. And lo and behold, he quit asking me to walk it out because I just didn't. And whenever he would come in there and ask me like, why don't you walk it out anymore? I'd be like, sorry, I'm not allowed to. Because my manager did like notice that that's what he was doing. And he was like, no, you don't need to do that. Like, and it's not worth, like, to me anyway, it's not worth like $2 just for some creeps to stare at me. Like, no thanks, I don't need that. But this was probably 5 months ago that this happened. But, you know, I had to go to the bathroom one day, and the bathroom is right across from where they set up for their league and like the lanes that they bowl in. So I'm like, God, I have to pee, but I really don't want to walk past Mike. Like, I hate him. He grosses me out. He's an asshole to everyone around him too. Like, he's always just screaming at the top of his lungs, and it's just obnoxious, and I hate him. But anyway, so I'm walking down there, and there's like this group of 15 old, gross, middle-aged, like, I don't really know how old they are. I'm gonna say like 60, 50, I don't know. But playing with their gross naked girl cards and drinking and all that, and I'm just like, just walk past them, go to the bathroom, and you're fine. Well, Mike stops me, and he's like, how old are you? And at the time, I was 18, but I was like
16.
And then he looks at his friends, and there's like 3 of them, and they're like, 16. What? And then one guy looks over at Mike, and he's like, you owe me $20. And I just stand there, and I'm like, they're betting on my age? And it wasn't even like a quick interaction either. He's like, wait, are you really just 16? And his friends are like, ooh, like, you owe me, and stuff like that. And I was like,
yeah, I'm 16. Yep. Not legal. You can't talk to me, please. Don't ever again.
I got used to that kind of thing, like, a lot working there. And, like, it still happens sometimes, but it's like, I just ignore it, and it's whatever. But there's another story that I have that I'll tell in just a minute that it's a little different, to say the least. So I have this manager that I absolutely love. Like, I just love her. She's the sweetest thing ever. And whenever I have break time, I go up to the bar next to the kitchen and just talk to her. And so does like everyone, because like everyone loves her. She's just like an angel. If you're watching this, hey girl, I love you. But anyway, so my friend and I, my coworker that works at the front desk, Trinity, and I go up to talk to our manager, and we're standing there at the bar, like facing her, and I realize there's someone behind me, this lady, and so I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, and I just like kind of move because I figured she was trying to order like food or a drink or something, and I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm not ordering, I'm just right in your way, I'll move. So I kind of scoot over, and she looks me dead in the eyes, this like kind of middle-aged lady. She looks me dead in the eyes, and she goes, actually, I came to talk to you. And I just look at her and I'm like, oh, okay. Now, I've gotten that a few times because sometimes, like, people will come in and know my parents and they'll be like, oh, are you blank's daughter? And I'll be like, yeah, that's me. Like, yeah. So that's kind of how I figured the conversation was gonna go. So she's here to talk to me, and that obviously gets my manager and Trinity's attention because they're like, what is she about to say to her, you know? Well, she kind of like stutters for a second. She's just like looking at me, and she's like, I'm not gay or anything. And then she's like, seriously, I'm married. And you know, like when someone says something like that, something weird's about to come out of her mouth, like, you know? So she says that, and I'm like, okay, oh God, what's she about to say? Like, I don't know. She looks at me and she goes, you just have a really nice ass. And I just look at her and I'm like,
Thanks.
and just at this point, Trinity spits out her water and just runs away back to the front counter. And my manager is just like, you know? And that in itself is just kind of a funny story to tell, but it didn't end there either. This lady kept going on. She was like, seriously, is there something you do to like work it out to make it look like that? And I just like was kind of like, I go to the gym sometimes, which like kind of is a lie. I mean, I guess I used to back then, but like now I'm lazy. But I was like, I guess I go to the gym sometimes. And she was like, yeah, I can tell. And then she goes, seriously, it's like, I know some people probably think it's weird to be like coming up to you and saying this, but whenever I see a woman with beautiful body parts, I quote, like that phrasing is enough to just be like, bleh. But anyway, she said, whenever I see someone with beautiful body parts, I just have to tell them. And I'm just over here like kind of giggling. I'm like, oh, thanks. And then she just keeps going on. She gets her like whoever she was with and she's like, doesn't she have just a great ass? And I was just like, thanks. And then my manager was like, Rebecca, just go sit down. After she left, like eventually the girl was like, yeah, I just wanted to tell ya. And my manager was like, go sit down, like, we don't need anyone else staring at you. And it was just so bizarre, and it cracked me up. I went home and told everyone. I told like my mom, my boyfriend, all my friends. Like I was sure to just tell everyone the story because it was hilarious. And just the look on Trinity's face when she just spit out her water was so priceless. Like, I feel like that's probably the funniest thing that's ever happened to me. But yeah, there were also some times working there that some like really questionable characters would come in and just ask a bunch of weird questions. Like this guy would come in and be like, do you like my belt, to my manager, and be like, what's your middle name? And like, do you like my shoes and all that? And he had like a tablet and he'd be like writing stuff down in it, just like acting really creepy. And we would have to like go and like sit in the office for a while for some people just because they were like so questionable, I guess. And like some people had to be asked to leave, and a lot of fights have broken out there, but I love it there. I love my job there. I know it's like all this weird shit happens to me, but I really just love my job there just because everyone that I work with, we're all like best friends. We all get along so well. It's always hilarious. Every single day something funny happens there. And like I've tried to quit. Like I got a job at the hospital in May, and like it pays pretty decent, you know? So I was like, I don't need this minimum wage job. And so I was like, I'm not gonna work next season. Like I'm not gonna work in the summer. You're gonna have to find someone to replace me. I told my manager that, and she was like, oh, that's so sad, but like, okay, like I'm happy that you got this new job. Well, they would call and be like, can you come in this day? And I would never say no if I was available because I just loved it there so much. And then last week I told her, I was like, I'll come back this season and work like a few days whenever I can. Like, I'm starting college and I have another job, but like, I love it there. Like, I really, really do love my job there. And even though all this weird stuff happens, like, that just adds like some spice to my day, you know? Like, that would be so boring if nothing funny happened. So if you were even remotely entertained by this video, you should give it a thumbs up and subscribe and share it, etc. because I like making videos and I like when people watch them.
Like, obviously, you know.
And yeah, so if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, like, subscribe, all that stuff that I just said 2 minutes ago. And I'll probably be posting a video sometime next week or whenever I really want to because I'm lazy and can't stick to a schedule.
Alright, bye guys.
Peace out.